Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Monday, the 10th day of October, 2022, Monday of the 28th week in Ordinary Time. Coming to you from the Great Green Slope today, which again is going fallow. I guess I don't know if that's the correct terminology of it. It's going dormant, or whatever it is, as it does as fall approaches and winter approaches. But there is the labyrinth, and the trees that surround the labyrinth have been cut back. I don't think I showed this yet, but it was very nicely done over the summer, late summer, too, because the trees were becoming a little bit overgrown over the labyrinth. You really couldn't walk the labyrinth because you ran into the tree branches. So very nice. The community center right there, our chapel, Carillon, right over there, community center, and the gymnasium right all over here. So on this Monday of the 28th week of the year, we can continue to hear from Galatians, a little bit the last part of Galatians, in which Paul gives an interesting analogy between Hagar and Sarah. Sarah's the wife of Abraham. Hagar just becomes somebody that Abraham uses to produce a child. Again, as you did in that day and age. But he, while not saying that it's not true, he uses the situation of Hagar and Sarah as an allegory. That Hagar was a servant to Sarah, and because Sarah was old, couldn't have children, she gives Hagar to Abraham, although she doesn't like it. And then Ishmael is born from Hagar. Ishmael becomes father to the Muslim people, and so the divergence of the covenant, in these two ways. And then Sarah will have Isaac. Because of who Hagar is understood to be, Paul gets a little bit racist, like he does, and basically says that all of Hagar's children are nothing but slaves. And this is long before Islam, long before anything else like that. But the generation that gives rise, that finds its origin in Ishmael, are considered slaves and not free people in the sight of God. And so Hagar produces that. Sarah produces children of freedom, and that we should recognize the fact that we are children, the product of children of freedom, and so we have freedom under God. It's a little bit of a dicey passage, always, and interpreting it incorrectly can bring disastrous consequences. It is to know, again, that God uses all kinds of people in all kinds of ways to be able to get done what must be done, even when human frailty and human situations may prevent that. God intervenes to make sure that what comes to pass in the way that allows for God's will to be done and God's vision for this world to be accomplished. Because of divisions that we create ourselves, and Paul being unfortunately the source of one of these, we tend to lose sight of that, and we tend to try to compare and do contrasts, which may not necessarily be true or helpful in bringing forward even more of that reign of God in our midst. So again, Paul's letter today, the passage that we read, is cautionary for us to make sure that we don't continue divisions and separations that are needless and are not necessarily of God, so that we may further the reign of God in our midst. In Luke's gospel today, I have to wait for a moment because where was he? He's talking about, I guess I have forgotten what Luke's gospel was about because it wasn't very interesting. So let's just leave it at Galatians today because that's enough for us to contemplate on. Look at the gospel if you get a chance to. But sometimes the first reading is enough for us to go with, and because it did not strike me as being very spectacular, I have forgotten it. So just remember that we are called always to bring together, to build up, rather than to cause division and to seek separations among ourselves. That makes us that makes us witnesses of the reign of God and instruments of God's work and God's peace in this world. And may the Lord give you his peace.